want to talk about a topic that is very familiar with everybody, dealing with criticisms. Dealing with criticism is the topic we want to look into today. It is one topic that not many of us entertain. We'll talk about fruits of the Spirit. Everybody wants it. But when it comes to criticism, many of us are, we don't like it. Criticism, some people are, there's a word I'm looking for, allergy. They are allergic to criticism. Some people, the moment they are criticized, they become so weak. They lost direction, they lost focus, they lost their personalities, and they become so bitter when it comes to this topic. But criticism on its own has two faces. Now, there are good and bad criticism, which we will be looking into today. Our text will be taken from the book of James chapter 4, verse 11 to 12. James chapter 4, verse 11 to 12. I'm reading from the NIV. He said, brothers and sisters, do not slander one another. Anyone who speaks against a brother or sister or judge them speak against the law and judge it. When you judge the law, you are not keeping it, but sitting on judgment on it, or setting in judgment on it. There is only one lawgiver and the judge, and the one who is able to save and destroy. But you, who are you to judge your neighbor? So we are talking about criticisms, and our text is taken from the book of James chapter 4, verse 11 to 12. Let's begin by knowing exactly what criticism is. Criticism, according to the dictionary definition, is the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. Criticism is an expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived fault or mistakes. Is criticism. Somebody can be criticized. Church can be criticized. Marriages can be criticized. Individual can be criticized. A country can be criticized. A nation can be criticized. Weather can be criticized. So criticism seems to stand as a universal word. Whenever there is an action, there is bound to be an expression of approval or disapproval. And this expression can be negative or positive. Can be negative or positive. And negative criticism has its own benefit and effect. Positive criticism also have its benefit and effect. And the case goes tonight, we may be able to touch some of them. But what does criticism actually do to people? When someone is criticized, when a wife is criticized by the husband people, or the husband is criticized by the wife people, what does it do to them? When the church criticizes their pastor, criticizes their leaders, when the Sunday school teacher, superintendent is being criticized by the teachers, when the prayer band leader is criticized by the prayer band members, when the chorister, the choir mistress is being criticized by the choristers, what does it do to them? When the nation criticizes the president, as we can see today in Nigeria, what does it do to them? A person being constantly criticized is likely to find it hurtful and demoralizing, and may grow to resent the person doing the criticism. It can cause the person to be hurtful. It brings pain to the person. It can bring low self-esteem to the person. It can take away, confidence from the person. It can bring inferiority complex to the person. In some cases, it can drive some people to suicide. They commit suicide when there is too much of criticism being poured at them at the same time. What are the causes of criticism? It depends on the stage. It depends on the atmosphere or the setting. In the church, in marriage, in the country, in school, and then in friendship. It depends. The criticism could come, as a result of different factors. When we look at it in marriage, perhaps the choice of a family member can just lead to the wife or the husband being criticized. Not that the woman on his own is not good, just because maybe we make a choice for the man, but the man do something else or make a different choice, that can bring criticism, and that can make all the good things the woman is doing to be ignored. And then we begin to criticize the woman. In a church, when pastors sometimes are preaching hard messages that affect us, oh, now so fornication message they are preaching about in that church. They preach only on tithing. Is there no other messages in the Bible? This criticism can, come as a result of what we don't really want as an individual that are being taught, or perhaps when our wounds are touched, it brings pain. Rather than for us to receive it gladly, we try to criticize it in order to drive the individual away from their position and then make it vacant. So this is what brings criticism. There are two types of criticism. There is what we call the constructive criticism, and then there is what is called the destructive criticism. Destructive criticism is criticism that are negative comments towards an individual, towards a church, towards a pastor, a bishop, towards the government, towards a friend. When you look at a friend, you look at, say, you are too big enough, so you only eat food, you don't even do exercise. Those are destructive criticism. Then constructive criticism are criticisms that build us up. They do not appear to be, sharp blade on our body, but they are facts that we are lacking, that are being revealed to us. The facts that we are lacking, that are being revealed to us or presented to us in a friendly manner, that is constructive criticism. When we are correcting people, there are ways we make corrections that people be happy about it. There are times you tell some people, your mouth is smelling. They will thank you so much because you make that correction constructively, not destructively. When you want to destroy someone, maybe the girlfriend or the boyfriend or the manager is standing and you are telling this individual, did you brush your teeth today? Your mouth is smelling. No matter what you do, you have just bring that individual down before someone they hold in high esteem. And to them, they will never forgive you that at all. That is considered to be destructive. So criticism comes in two forms: destructive criticism and constructive. Both types are feedback pointing to our mistakes, flaws, or potential areas of improvement. Both of them point to our mistakes, and they also gives us ways that probably we can improve. But while constructive criticism uplift, offer suggestion, and even provide possible solutions, destructive criticism is cutting, derogatory, and sometimes even mocks our failure. This is just something for the, just for fun. And there was a day I am in insurance, this insurance business. Every term or every time we do a renewal course. So my boss, sent for me and said, your license is due for renewal. There is this course you need to do to renew it. So I went to a place and I sat for the exam. It was online and I did it. So I had 75%. And I went to her and she said, did you pass? I said, come and pay money for me to rewrite. The first thing she did was to call her own boss. See, Pastor Fellow. The brother that was standing with me laughed, because I told that one, I said, I'm going to pull her leg. And exactly the way I, expected it to be, that was how it was. This is just for the side, digestion. But imagine if I actually had failed, what it would have meant to me. There were no any form of encouragement to me first, but somebody else received the message. That's how you keep people's morale. You destroy them, you derogate them, you mock them in failure. If somebody fails, first of all, see something good in what that person has done. Find a place to accommodate that in you did very well, but there is room for improvement. And that alone can resonate with that child than to say you are worthless. You don't even know anything. The whole money I'm spending on you, I'm wasting it. And maybe it is just 2 marks that this boy or this child lack. And when that child sat in another exam, all that child will remember is, am I wasting my father's money today again? What will be my father's remark to me if I don't do well? So those fears can, devastate the child and lead the child to some obvious direction. Before I continue, I want to look at some people in the scripture who face criticism. Like I said, criticism is a household name. When you face it, it is not, don't see it as something that is new or something that has never happened to anybody. Don't look at it as if, my faith, my nature is what is causing it. And there are series of people in the Bible who face, criticism. Moses faced criticism in Exodus chapter 16, verse 2 to 3. Exodus 16, verse 2 to 3. Moses faced criticism from the Israelites during their exile from Egypt. They often complain about their hardship and express a desire to return to Egypt. This was said to the face of Moses as a leader who have risked his life, who have done everything he could to make sure they get out of Egypt through the power of God, only to find this comment coming from the people he has labored for is not encouraging. If you read Exodus chapter 16, verse 2 to 3, you will see their comment there, which did not encourage Moses in any way. In fact, he brings his spirit, he kills one spirit. It's not something a leader should hear at any given time at all. Exodus 16, verse 2 to 3. Exodus 16, verse 2 to 3. And the whole congregation of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said unto them, would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pot, and when we did eat bread to the full, or for ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Imagine what is coming out of someone's mouth. And if we look at some certain things in our life, we make this comment sometimes. You have been in the church for many years. You were single, you got married, you have children, you bought a house, buy, cars and everything. Maybe just one employment interview you went for didn't go through. And then another person is telling you, if you were in our church, that our pastor will just pray for you and, not be prayer. Now, anointing the work now. And then you will really look at yourself and say, I'm wasting time in that church. I would rather go to another place. This is exactly what the people were saying to Moses. God should have just let us die. They were the same people who were crying to God every day for the hardship of the Israelites. David also faced criticism in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 1 to 7. We will not be able to read that because of time. King David faced criticism from his own family and subject, particularly after his sin with Bathsheba and the subsequent event that unfolded. You see, sometimes when the Bible is written, we don't see the full account of what is going on. We just said David committed sin against Bathsheba. Imagine what the concubine, what the wives of David would be saying to David, what the people would be saying. In a king, in a nation, there are people who support you, there are people who don't support you. What would the enemies of David be saying? Maybe right to his own face, criticism. When there is no hole in a wood, ants struggle to enter. Now consider the fact that there is hole in it. You cannot control the amount of ant that goes in there. So another person again was Elijah. In 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 1 to 3. The prophet Elijah faced criticism and opposition from Queen Jezebel and prophets of Baal. He faced criticism. Jeremiah is another individual who also suffered this fate. The prophet Jeremiah faced hostility and criticism for his messages of warning and judgment against Judah. Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 1 to 2. And above all, Jesus, does that surprise you? Faced criticism. Jesus faced criticism from religious leaders, Pharisees and the Sadducees, for his teachings, actions, and association with sinners. We can see this in Matthew chapter 9, verse 10 to 11, John chapter 10, verse 33. He faces criticism, the Son of the living God, God himself. So if these people face criticism, who are we not to be criticized? Who are we to say, well, because people criticize us, we are going to quit the sin? The good thing about these people I mentioned is that regardless of the criticism, they never give up. They never back down. They did not turn their back against their assignment. They completed their assignment regardless of the criticism. I encourage you this evening, no matter what area you are being criticized, stay put. Continue your journey. God is on your side. Peter, Paul, the apostles, all of them faced criticism. Now, having said this, what is now the solution to all this? What are the solutions? How do we navigate our way in times of criticism? How do we keep on going? How do we keep on moving? How do we, also take the path of Jesus, Moses, Jeremiah, And how do we continue without failing? Remember, there are constructive and then there are destructive criticism. And sometimes both of them could mean bringing you down, taking you out of your place. So one of the ways we can navigate our way out of it or to continue the solution to criticism are one, mirror the events. Mirror the event. And we know each time we dress, we stand in the face of mirror to look at ourselves, to see whether we are fully dressed, whether we are okay with the way we dress, the shirt we wore, the makeup, the hair, tie, everything we look at, we mirror ourselves. So in the time of criticism, we need to mirror the event. Pause and reflect. Look at the criticism. James chapter 1, verse 19. James chapter 1, verse 19. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to be angry. That is why I put here, mirror the event. At times, many people react to criticism without even looking at what was said. They don't look at why the criticism. You need not to react instantly. Sit down, pause, reflect on what is said. Did they say your mouth is smelling? Oh, that man that is mad, the mouth always smells. Sit down, reflect, mirror the event. Is there any element of truth? But I will tell you this. If none one individual, you didn't brush your mouth, even if you brush your mouth, close that same mouth for quite a number of hours, you begin to see something coming out of it. And that is why in counseling session as ministers, we are always asked to have some candy around before you go to talk to people. This is very, very important. Mirror the event, reflect and look. James gives us some antidote. He said, my brothers and my sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. Yes, be quick to hear the criticism. This is what, do you know Jesus even asked, what do men say about me? He asked, you don't know it all. You are not perfect. You need to move from the level you are to the next level. You can only get there based on what people say about you. It is what people say that will perfect you. It is what people say that is the fire that your life of gold needs to shine brighter, only if you handle it constructively. Before reacting to criticism, take a moment to listen carefully, reflect, consider the validity of the critic. This helps to avoid unnecessary response and allow for a more thoughtful reaction. If you respond urgently, quickly, on top of maybe the criticism, you will end up apologizing. Double wound, double insult. You are the one that is being mocked. You are the one that is saying, I'm sorry. And at that point, you just confirm the fact that what they are saying about you is true. So you must mirror the event, be thoughtful, pause and reflect in order to get a clearer picture before you respond. Number two, seek divine direction in prayer. When, in the face of every criticism, the direction you must take must be divine, not physical. Let me go tell them that I am not their mate. Let me go tell them that I am not equal. No, we are not on the same level. Yes, you can go tell them, but you have just drive away the sheep. You have just drive away the sheep. If it is marriage, you have just you have just divided that home. Next time, they can even see something that will hurt you. Nobody will talk. Seek divine direction. In James chapter 1, verse 5, if any of you lack wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. How does this apply to us? Seek God guidance through prayer. Ask for wisdom to understand the criticism and how to respond appropriately, to respond in a godly manner. It's not everything you hear you must respond to. You hear some of them so that you can improve. You hear some of them so that you can make a U-turn. In 1 Kings, for example, chapter 12, verse 4 to 11, we don't have time to read this. We saw a very important, dialogue between Jeroboam and the people after the death of King Solomon. They went to the king to tell him, well, your father dealt with us. Your father make our yoke grievous. Now, therefore, make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke which he put on us lighter, and we will serve thee. Underline that word. We will serve thee. They put a request. They criticized his father before the son. And then instead of this man, the Jeroboam, to go, he made the first choice by asking the wise men that sat with his father, what do I do? He's seeking direction. And they said, tell the people, you will lighten the burden. But that doesn't sit well with him. He went to his age mates and they advised him wrongly and said, if my father whip you with whip, I will whip you with scorpion. And then the kingdom was divided. The kingdom was divided because Jeroboam did not seek the right direction. He did not seek divine direction. He has two directions that were open. He took the wrong one. The Bible says there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end is destruction. So in the face of criticism, you must pray and ask God for direction. Even where it is very necessary for you to confront, you must be very selective, very, very mindful, especially people in leadership position, wife, husband, church leaders. We must be very careful in making decisions. Before you make that phone call to that individual, seek direction. Ask someone ahead of you, this is what I want to do. Is it right? And a second opinion probably would deter you from doing such things. If this man has taken heed to the advice of the wise men that sat with his father, perhaps that could have saved the kingdom from being divided. Number 3, take self-inventory. Self-inventory. When there is criticism, it is time for you to take self-inventory. Self-inventory is just the same way we do inventory in the factory. If the church is going to do inventory, they will tell us how many chairs we have, how many television we have, and all of this. So take self-inventory. Look at the criticism that comes as a wife, as a husband, as a child, as a pastor, as a leader. Look at what is coming. Take inventory. You yourself know yourself. Even if we try to sometimes hide some certain things, pretend sometimes, you know area of your weaknesses. What is true in what they say? What is lie? What must come in? What must go out? What are your weaknesses? What are your strongholds? This is self-inventory. And then it makes you to purify, to prune yourself. By the time you take this procedure, you are pruning yourself for the better. Let's assume, somebody says, well, when you are singing, you don't dance. You don't take offense in such a thing. They enjoy your singing, but maybe when you dance, you are motivating people to come along with you. You are carrying everybody along with you. But if you take offense for that, tomorrow when you sing, nobody will even sing. So examine yourself. Psalm 139, verse 23 to 24. Psalm 139, verse 23 to 24 says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. This is NIV. Reflect on the criticism and consider if there's any truth in it. Self-examination can lead to a personal growth and improvement. Self-examination can lead to personal growth and self-improvement. This is why Jesus said, what do men say about me? Number four, demonstrate maturity in grace. Demonstrate full maturity in grace. Now, in criticism, you need to act, you need to respond in grace. You need to respond in grace. You must not use an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. No, you need to respond in grace. That is why sometimes when you hear a thing like this, sleep over it. Maybe by the time you wake up, you will find reason not to confront you. I will just let them be. I will just let them be. You have just responded in grace. Colossians chapter 4, verse 6 says, Colossians chapter 4, verse 6, let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone, not some people, including those who are criticizing you. You will know how to answer them. Seasoned with grace, your conversation, your words must have salt in them. It must have sugar. It must have enough meat. It must have sweetener in it. And if I go the traditional way, salt and pepper must be in. When somebody eats your word, they want to hear it again. It is only when these ingredients are there, people will come to you to tell you your fault. I told you of a church. I don't want to mention it. It was a disaster in preaching, and everybody knows this. He himself knows. But when they write him a card, your message was powerful. He said he would just be laughing. But because the criticism was constructive, it enabled him to grow, and he became better than what he normally would do in the pulpit. So demonstrate maturity. If you kill everybody, with Holy Ghost fire, you may not have anybody in the church. If Holy Ghost fire is to consume all our enemies, maybe you would not also be standing because you are an enemy to somebody. And that is why we must demonstrate our maturity. We must demonstrate it in grace. In 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 16 to 17, that is where we read before. It says, so when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, say, what portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tent, O Israel, now see to thy own house. David, so Israel departed unto their tent. 17. But as the children of Israel, which dwelt in the city of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Division. Because why? The response was not seasoned. He did not season his response. He did not select his words carefully. Number 5. In the face of every criticism, the door of communication must be open. Where necessary, the door of communication must be open. And it's not a communication where you stand, unrepentant. Let them know you are ready to learn. You are very much ready. Don't be somebody that, people cannot approach, people cannot correct. No. I respect the congregation, every congregation. People who stood may not be the best educated person, may sometimes not even be the best anointed people. But for grace, those that have been chosen must not abuse that grace. It must be cultured. It must be nurtured. It must be respected. The door of communication must be open. Carry everyone along. Everyone, carry them along. Those who support you, those who oppose you, carry them along. Don't be bitter. Don't pay evil for evil. Be at peace. Seek reconciliation where necessary. Matthew chapter 5, verse 23 to 24. Therefore, Matthew chapter 5, verse 23 to 24. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother or your sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go, be reconciled to them, then come and offer. Even God loves peace more than our offering. Leave your gift there. Don't take away your gift. Leave it at the altar. Go reconcile before you come and say, God, take my offering. And there will be more joy. If criticism stems from a conflict or misunderstanding, take steps to reconcile. Approach the person to discuss the issue openly and seek resolution. If this didn't work, add one or two people according to the biblical principle. Don't just close the door because you have the authority. Don't close the door because you have the advantage. No, you must create room for flexibilities. Number 6, absorb the constructive criticism and delete the destructive criticism. In other words, take the good, throw away the bad. Just like computer, delete and save the constructive, delete the destructive. A material deleted in the surface or in the face of a computer cannot remain. Work on what will enhance your growth. Move away from what will bring you down. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15 says, the way of fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice. Thank you. I will do better next time, even if you know what you are doing is good. Because the moment you begin to argue, you are creating more offenses. Difference between constructive criticism and harmful negativity: embrace feedback that can lead to growth, while dismissing unfounded or malicious remarks can also bring you down if they are allowed to remain. So it is in your own power. They have their own mouth, and that is why they use it. In you also lies the power to retain and to delete. Move on. Don't let people drag you down. Number 7, cultivate a positive attitude. In the face of criticism, one thing will remain. Your attitude will determine whether you win the battle or you lose the battle. Your attitude will determine whether you win the battle or you lose the battle. Look unto God at all times. Have the mind of Christ. Remember, everyone will reap what they sow. That being in mind, don't let criticism change your personality. Oh, because they criticize you, you don't come to church. Because they criticize you, you don't go out because they say you are too big, you are too short, you are too black. They are asking you in your place of work, your accent is too strong. You stop work and then you went to, to file for unemployment. Nobody drove you away from there. Criticism. Cultivate a positive attitude. Be yourself. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 23. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 23. When they hurled their insult at him, Peter is talking about Jesus. He did not retaliate when he suffered. He made no threat. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judged justly. That is your position. When you face opposition, criticism, negative ones, don't retaliate. Don't offer no threat. Maintain a positive attitude and look unto the judge that judge justly. We are admonished to follow Jesus' example of humility and patience in the face of criticism. Trust God to address any injustice and maintain a Christ-like attitude. Even on the cross, instead of him to curse their father, curse their mother, curse the day they were born, he said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing. They are not children. They are not babies. This is a positive attitude in the face of criticism. 8, use criticism as a ladder for the next level. They want to bring you down, but you use it for the next level. Joseph said, you meant evil for me, but God turned it to good. Use it for the next level. They are not enjoying your message. Pray, ask God to give you more wisdom to pray, to do it better. So you could see that they criticize you, but don't move backward. Go upward, study more, pray for more anointing, and you'll become, you will move from that level to another level. And that time when you go to the next level, you will become a celebrity. And even then, their hand may not even be able to reach you any level because God has placed you high above them. Use criticism for the next level, use criticism as a ladder for the next level. Romans 8:28, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who loved him, who have been called according to his purpose. All things, according to King James, work together for good. So when people criticize you, look for the good side of it. Know that you are going towards a better direction. Use it for a positive purpose. Use criticism as an opportunity for learning and growth. Trust that God can use all experience, even negative ones, for your benefit and development. Fire is not friendly, but God needs fire. And that what would bring the best of it out. If you refrain from criticism, you would never grow. You would remain where you are. That is why in school, they write exam. Number 9, don't harbor bitterness. Don't harbor bitterness. In the face of defeat, criticism comes. Maybe you were preaching like I am doing. I use it for words, and maybe I'm now even nicknamed Mr. Grammar. You see Mr. Grammar? Instead of Pastor Ale, they say, you see Mr. Grammar? And it is known to me, I must not harbor bitterness. I must not harbor bitterness. Bitterness would take the place of your growth. It will occupy the place of your heart. Bitterness does not stay in any place. It doesn't stay in your hand. It doesn't stay in your leg. It stays in your heart. And it is that same heart that God wants us to give to him. So if your heart is already polluted with bitterness, God cannot receive it. So don't harbor bitterness. Let go of bitterness that resulted from any form of criticisms. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31 to 32. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, broiling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ, God, forgave you. This is simple. You meant evil for me, but God turned it to good. Turn it around. Did they give you lemon? Make juice out of it. They give you a goosey, make soup out of it. Whatever they give you, turn it around for your own good. Number 10, the last one. Trust in God leadership as you go. If God be for us, Romans chapter 8, verse 31. What shall we say then? Say to these things, if God be for us, who can be against us? Hear me. In every game, there are opposers, there are supporters. Even in a critical game, those supporting you will turn to be opposing you if you are not doing well. Those who say Hosanna, Hosanna, they are the same who say crucify him, but it all end up in praise. It all ended in praise. And so trust in God leadership as you go. They that call you will not fail you. If God be for you, no one can be against you. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plan I have for you, declares the Lord. Plan to prosper you and not to harm you. Plan to give you hope and a future. Remember that God has a purpose for your life. Criticism does not define your worth. Trust that he is in control and has a good plan for you. Criticism does not define your worth. In closing, I want to say this. It is because you are doing well. That is why you are being criticized. I don't know whether you know this. Nobody criticizes a madman. Nobody criticizes a madman. You are doing well. You are on the course. You are moving up. You are progressing. You are on the way to victory. That is why they are criticizing you. But if you allow their criticism to define you, you will miss the mark. So with this point tonight, criticism is an inevitable thing in human life. But God has a plan for us, and the plan of God, we must navigate to make sure we did not deter from the point that God has placed us. If you must succeed in life, take these few steps tonight to overcome criticism, and you will be glad you did. Please, if you don't have any question, ask. God bless you.